In this video, I will be sharing my personal journey of being pregnant at 18, 20, and 21. Yes, this was 3 different pregnancies. If you really want to count the years I was pregnant, it would be 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. I'll discuss the challenges, the joys, and the lessons I have learned from becoming a mother at such a young age. Join me as I open up about the highs and the lows of this unique experience and give some advice to mothers who are either facing the same situation as I am or about to. Whether you're a teen mom, a young parent, expecting, or you're just curious about my story, this video's for you. I'm going to start this off with, of course, the first pregnancy. So, pregnant at 18. So, to set the stage a little bit, this was 2020. I graduated high school the previous semester, and I was in a semester of college when I found out I was pregnant. Me and my husband were together. He already finished a year of college. I was just doing my first semester. We kind of were not feeling it too much. I felt lost. I didn't feel like college was correct for me. Also, it was kind of hard because everything was online except for my labs, because I was doing biochemistry major, and so my labs were in person, but everything else was online, and I wasn't that good at monitoring myself for that to happen. So yeah, we were deciding on whether or not to finish college, and I was really debating it. So kind of cut forward, after the year started of college, I did start this YouTube channel in that time frame. So if you want to go back and look at any of my older videos, that is from when I was in my college semester. We went to his parents' house for Thanksgiving, and that is when I got a positive pregnancy test, and we officially decided that we're gonna not go to college anymore and that we were gonna find a different route. I had some symptoms that I started feeling. So one of them that I would say is a pinch in my uterus. I thought I felt a pinch. Kind of was like, whoa, it's too early for my period to be starting. It wasn't like, it was like in the middle of my cycle, so it was too early for my period to be starting. So I was like, what is that? And then later down the road, I started craving pickles. And I ate so many pickles with her, it was crazy. And so finally we decided to take a pregnancy test. Sean knew this whole time that what I was feeling. I'm completely honest and open up with him about everything. And so he went and got me a pregnancy test, and I took the pregnancy test, and it came back positive, blaring positive. If you know anything about cycles, it was about 9 DPO that I got the positive. So really strong positive early on, and you'll see later in the other stories that that's a constant for me. I just get really strong positives early. Anyways, I told Sean, I gave him the pregnancy test, and his reaction was, huh. And he put the pregnancy test down for a just turned, I think I gave the pregnancy test to him a day after his birthday or a day before his birthday. So either he was 19 or he just turned 20. For him to react that way was just so calm and collected. And if you ever get to know him, which I don't think anybody will, but he is that way no matter what. So he's just a really calm, collected guy. And so yeah, he just said, huh, put it down. Not the reaction I was expecting, but also it wasn't a bad reaction, so I guess there's a positive and negative to that. Also diving in on telling our parents. So we were excited, me and him were excited. Even though we were young, we were excited to have kids together. At this point, we were already engaged. We got engaged in 2019, so this is 2020, almost the end of 2020. So we were both very excited, kind of in this honeymoon baby phase of oh, well, a baby's gonna be awesome, amazing, we're gonna see what me and you mixed together looks like, that kind of thing, but also terrified to tell our parents. So I told my mother first because she actually got pregnant at 20. So she kind of knew, and she always was telling me not to get pregnant young and like just warning me and saying not to do that. But so I told her first. Of course, her reaction was, it wasn't really bad, but it wasn't good either. She was just like, oh, well, you're gonna see what I mean when I was saying don't do this. Like, you brought this upon yourself. You're gonna face the consequences, basically. That was what my mom said. Honestly, more scared to tell his parents than I was to tell my mom. And my dad's not in the picture. And also, when I did tell him, eventually, whenever I saw him, he didn't really care at all. So telling his parents was scarier, and I actually didn't do it. He went and told his parents by himself. His parents' reaction was not at all what I was expecting. His parents are more collected individuals, I would say. They didn't get pregnant with him until they were 39 and 38 years old. And so for them, it was like they were more set up when they got a baby, and like they were able to roll, whereas my family's side is used to having kids young, so they weren't quite used to that. His father's reaction was really well because he was excited to actually be able to have a good quality time with his grandchildren before he passes away. He was super excited. His mom wasn't so much, but when she saw that her husband was excited, she got excited too. So that was how we told them, and also their reactions. And at this point, I turned 19, and it was time to figure our stuff out. And so we were living paycheck to paycheck, of course. Like, I don't think anybody expected us not to be. We did move in with my mother at that time, so we were with my mom, and I was working actually at a gas station, and I also started dental assistant school. I was doing every weekend. I would go on a Saturday for like full work hour, like 8 hours, and I would just study to become a dental assistant. And then he also was working, I can't remember what he was doing at the time, but he mostly did construction roles and stuff like that, so he was working as well. And yeah, so that was us trying to get plans figured out and figure out where we were gonna go and like how we were gonna raise this baby, because we didn't really have it all planned out. We eventually got to the point where we were like, we need our own space, we need our own place. So we got an apartment. At that point, I'm 19, so he's still 20. And we are moved into this apartment, but we didn't take into consideration, because this, of course, was our first time, the deposits, because we had a dog, just getting furniture and stuff for the apartment. Like, we were not prepared to do that, but we were so gung-ho that we were going to do that. And so if anybody's in that situation, like they are needing to move out, like you want to move out, just make sure you do your research, check up on things, and you do need money saved before you move in, because sometimes they also will ask like 2 months of pay, like rent pay in advance. So there's also that. And you need apartment insurance, like all that stuff was not prepared. We were not prepared for that. But we did get into the apartment. We got all of that done with the help of his parents, and we were prepared for our daughter. So at this point, we're in the apartment. I'm going to work still about 40 minutes away. He's going about an hour away. I'm finishing my dental assistant school. I am in my later stage of pregnancy. When I finished, I was 34 weeks pregnant with our first daughter. The week before that, before I took my test to finish, I was in the hospital with her because I was having signs of premature labor. So they kind of dosed me up with stuff and just kind of held off until I could hold her in further. They gave me steroid shots and things like that just to hold her in longer. On top of all of this, we were planning a wedding. So his mom was absolutely helpful with that too. Amazing. She was really the one planning it because I couldn't think or do anything at the time. I was just focusing on school and the pregnancy and working. So we did get married. June 26th is our wedding anniversary. I was 34 weeks when we got married. I was 34 weeks when we got married. And then a week later, at 35 weeks, I had signs of preeclampsia and had to go in and give birth to our daughter. So this is where I'm going to be completely honest, truthful with you guys about being a young parent, also not having our stuff figured out. So, of course, I already mentioned we were living paycheck to paycheck, but also the toll that having a new child brings on a relationship is huge. And getting past that first year with a child is also huge. And at this point in time, so we're in 2021. I'm 19. He's 20. He's going to be turning 21 at the end of the year. And we are just, after I gave birth, he was leaving me in the hospital to go work long hours because he felt a duty that he needed to provide. And so I can understand that, and especially now, but when it first happened, I was pretty upset because it was between him and my mom in the hospital. And so, like, he would come after work and I'm dying. Like, I just gave birth. I have so many drugs in me because of preeclampsia, and I'm starting to tear up because this part of the story is hard, and he knows that now. And, like, we've fixed it, but he would come to the hospital after work and just crash. And our daughter is dealing with jaundice, so she has to be in the light. She's itty bitty. She was 6 pounds 1 ounce, which for my family that's really small. And so I was just so frustrated and mad at him. And then after we got released from the hospital, for me to let go of things was really hard, especially back then. So I just held the grudge on him for doing that to me in the hospital, because I was literally sitting there holding onto her little body under the jaundice light while just because if I wasn't touching her while she was in there, she would scream the whole time. So I'm sitting there holding on to this little tiny thing in the jaundice light with tears just dripping down my face, dripping into her little cradle thing that she was in, just bawling my eyes out from exhaustion, fear, wondering when we were going to get released, all that stuff. So super hard story with that. And so our relationship took a strong turning point then, and he was struggling, I was struggling. And so yeah, just the first year of having a new child is absolutely rough, and I don't think people talk about that enough. And so for us, it was really hard. On top of the relationship struggles, the postpartum was rough. The postpartum was really rough, with just mom guilt, especially because I felt bad that I didn't hold her in longer. I didn't get her to the full term, like 38 weeks or more. So mom guilt was huge with that. I felt awful. I felt like I wasn't being a good enough mom. At that point, we were having struggles financially because I wasn't working. I just gave birth. So he was the only one working at that time. And so we moved back in with my mom, got rid of the apartment, and there was points where I would put her down in like the living room or something to play, and my mom would yell at me because the baby's crying and I'm not going to pick her up. And if anybody's dealt with postpartum like that, you understand what I mean. Like, I just was having such a hard time like changing into that mom role, because I was used to having my siblings where my mom would have to pick them up. And so having it be my own child and having to pick her up was something that I had to get used to, which I didn't think was going to be a problem for me, but it was. So at this point, we're December 2021, and Sean decides that he's going to make a huge change because both me and him are struggling. We were talking about our relationship openly with each other and how we were feeling, but we needed to just change something. Something needed to change. And so we both decided that it was going to be a good idea for him to join the U.S. military, so in the Navy. So we're at pregnancy. Pregnant at 20, because so this was the end of December of 2021 was where I left off. Now we're in January of 2022, and I just turned 20 years old. And Sean is getting ready to go to boot camp. He already has his date set. He's on a roll. He's ready to go. So I start feeling not good again. Like something weird's happening. And so I take a pregnancy test. And literally one day before Sean goes, I give him a pregnancy test. I actually have it recorded, and if I can, I will be cutting it into this into this video.
Player number 4 has entered the game. What?
But yeah, so I gave him a pregnancy test one day before he had to leave to boot camp. And I bet anybody can imagine the stress and the worry that came with that. Not to mention that our daughter was 6 months old at the time. So he's leaving for boot camp. I'm handing him a pregnancy test, and we have a 6-month-old daughter. So that is where the second pregnancy comes in. So the day after I hand him the pregnancy test, we got him packed up. He had to leave and go do all the stuff to go to boot camp, and I said goodbye to him. And in December of 2021, he stopped working. So I was the only one working as a dental assistant. And so he wasn't bringing in any paychecks, so I was pregnant, taking care of a 6-month-old, and the only one working and taking care of the family pretty much. And if anybody knows about boot camp, it is rough if you're a father, just because you can't really call that much. You get a couple calls during boot camp, and boot camp's about 3 months long, and so he only got a couple calls, and then we would get about a letter maybe weekly, if he could send them. I sent him a letter every other day. Sometimes I would bundle them up at the end of the week, so he had a whole bunch of letters to read at once. But I would send him as much as I possibly could. It also kept me sane because I was working early in the morning. Sometimes we didn't get off of work until way late in the afternoon. I'd get home, see my daughter, need a shower, eat dinner, then go to bed. And that was like it. And so that was really rough too on me, and just taking those hits was really hard. So finally, Sean gets done with boot camp. He's getting paychecks in, and I quit my job. I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I need to be with my baby because she needs me. Like, I just felt like I wasn't there. Mom guilt again. So he gets to his A school, and I decide that I'm just gonna pack up me and my daughter, and we're gonna drive to Texas to his A school. So basically, we went to Texas without a plan. I had no idea what I was really doing. I just knew I needed to be with my husband. So, we packed up in this little Dodge sedan and drove all the way from Pacific Northwest down to Texas. It should take 3 days, but I drove it in 2 because I woke up at 4 a.m. in the morning, and drove until about 8 o'clock at night, stayed the night at a hotel, woke up at 4 a.m. in the morning, and like continued that until I made it to Texas. So we get there, and I already had an apartment or a hotel room ready for me and the baby, and I couldn't see Sean for the first 2 weeks I was there. So I was alone with a 6-month-old in a place that I've been there once before, but just visiting. And it was pretty scary just because it was somewhere that I didn't know in the heart of San Antonio. So yeah, it was me and my daughter, and like grocery store runs, well, doing them by myself and trying to figure out the land and everything like that. And yeah, so Texas, it was really rough when we first got there, and it didn't get much better. After a little while, he was able to get Liberty, but he had to be with friends when he got Liberty. So we would go to the San Antonio Riverwalk. We would do all that kind of stuff. And then he had to do his C school. C school gave a little bit more Liberty than A school does, but still not the best. And it was when we hit C school that we were deciding on RV living, because so he had so much more moving that he had to do. So we decided that RV living would actually be a very good option for us. It would save us money, and we can just tow our belongings instead of renting a U-Haul or anything like that. So that's when we decided to do RV living. So we finished up in Texas. I think I was about 33 weeks when we had to move to Mississippi. So we moved to Mississippi for his ECS school, and we were there for about a month. And that was rough because that was about the same time frame that I gave birth to Aki. So Aki's our first daughter. And so I was afraid that I was going to be in the same situation I was before. But at that time, I wasn't going to see the doctor because we were moving so much and getting new patient and stuff. Like, it didn't feel worth it in Mississippi. We made it through Mississippi, made it through ECS school, and I'm at 37 weeks. And if you're listening to this, don't do what I did. Do not recommend moving at a very late stage in pregnancy. I do not. But anyways, moved from Mississippi to Virginia. So we pull in like 37 weeks in like 2 days. We pull into Virginia, get settled down. A week later, I go into the hospital, get set up with the hospital, and then like 2 days later after that, I'm 38 weeks in 2 days, I am giving birth to our son. And so that is how that happens. And so I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, 9 pounds. And Sean did so much better that time. We both did, like, night and day. We knew what was happening. We were in a better mental state at that time. So at this point, I got 2 under 2. And it was not as hectic as I thought it would be, because my mom had 2 under 2 too. And she always warned me about it. Yeah, not as hectic as I thought 2 under 2 would be. It is a little rough with the diaper situation, and clothes are different sizes and stuff, because now that they're about the same size, like they're still a little different, but they can wear the same diaper size right now, and he can fit in her clothes and she can fit in his clothes, some of his clothes. And so like that stuff makes it easier. But when they're like a newborn and a 1-year-old, it's kind of hard to do that. So yeah, 2 under 2, difficult. Don't think it's easy, but some people make it seem harder than it actually is. So pregnant at 21. So that whole birth story with my son was from 2022 to 2020, like end of 2022. So he was born in 2022. Now 2023, it's been a whole year since I gave birth, and me and my husband actually decided that we are ready for a third. And so we're still doing RV living. We remodeled our first RV, made it completely family friendly, ready for the kids. So we are ready for another baby, and we are upgrading our RV. So we upgraded our RV to have an actual like kids room so that we can have the kids in there, and we want 3 babies and that's it. Like, we are done after 3. And so we tried and we got pregnant, and so pregnant at 21. And with that, it was kind of just like, we know what we're doing now. Like, we get it, we got it, we're good. The babies have everything they could possibly need. I know that some people might think that RV living, you just can't give them everything they need, but they have everything they need. They're doing good, and we have everything. We're preparing for Cleo. She has her own spot already. She has her own like dresser drawer. Like, she is good to go. We're good to go. I'm gonna be making some videos on newborn preparation, newborn essentials, and things like that, and also pros and cons to RV living. But yeah, so that was finding out I'm pregnant again. So I am 22 now. We're in 2024, and I am pregnant with our 3rd baby. She is due in June, 2 days after mine and Sean's wedding anniversary. So that's funny. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so labor videos coming, all that good stuff is coming too. But I felt like I needed to get this story to you guys, especially for anybody in that same situation. Alright, I'm going to conclude this video with some positives that I think you should take away from this if you are in the same situation as me, or just younger mother, or you're just curious of what my crazy positives are for doing this at a young age. So some positives that I have written down and we have talked about since we had our first daughter were having energy to match their energy. So we're not gonna be older and hurting, and we're able to keep up with them when they get to their teen stage, active stage. We are able to like go jump on the trampoline with them and do things that like an older sibling would be able to do with them, but we are able to do with them. The other positive that I talk to my husband about a lot, because he does have older parents, we'll be able to be empty nesters by late 30s, early 40s. So that's another positive that we take away from it, that after we like build up our like income and everything, and at that point we should be really good to just be able to go on vacations whenever we want and go out and have dinner wherever we want, and we won't have to be worrying about kids either. The chances of seeing our great grandchildren before we die also is a huge like positive for us. Like, I'll be able to not only see my grandchildren but possibly my great grandchildren. That just feels good for me. And also the other one that goes with that is like, at the end of our life we'll have a full table. We'll have a table filled with children and grandchildren and hopefully great grandchildren, and that will just be something that is just amazing for us. Also, I think the biggest one is that, and the reason that I wouldn't ever want to change what we did, is it made us grow up so much faster, like mentally, and like we are on a path and we're gonna finish it, especially for our children. Like, that's where we're at, and it's just so powerful. Some negative things that I have to say that comes with it is people look at you a lot. Also, getting your age wrong a lot. They usually think that I'm like 25. Some have said 30, so that kind of sucks, but I mean, it's good. Like, they think you're mature and everything like that. Also, just constantly getting told that you can't do something because you had a kid young. And it's somewhat true, but it's not at the same time, because if you really try, you can do it. And so having a kid young isn't going to hold you back. Like, me and him can't go out and party right now. Can't go out whenever we want right now. But like I said, when we're older, we'll be able to do whatever we want, and we'll have the funds to do it too, because we won't be broke 20-year-olds trying to go out and do something like that. And so, yeah, that's the takeaway from those negative comments that people will be giving you. And just like, just don't listen. And when that one lady's staring at you because she knows you're too young to have children, in her opinion, I just stare at them back. That's what we do. So yeah, those are some takeaways. No age is gonna be perfect. I know people who have waited till they're 30 to have children, and they still mess up. Like, they're not good parents. So if you're a good parent, you're a good parent, and there's no perfect age to have a child. The huge thing that I want to point out about my story is that if my partner wasn't the way he was, and if my partner didn't step up and grow and mature with me, none of this would have been possible. So it really all depends on your partner, on, I guess, what you would say success, or being able to accomplish something like this, especially at a young age. At any age, honestly. You need a good partner beside you, and they're willing to grow. They're willing to have an awesome relationship with you, because your children are going to need that for a basis for their own relationship, and how to treat their partners, and how to go through life with their partners. And it is crazy how much a child will base their future relationships off of what they saw from their parents. So, alright guys, that wraps up this video. And it's kind of long. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be posting more content about just pregnancies, labors, newborns, toddlers, all that stuff. If you are interested in that, go check out my channel. It should all be up there, and I'm going to be linking some videos to this one. So if I have another video, it will be linked to this one. So my next video is going to be about how we afford our lifestyle as young parents of 2, almost 3. So if that interests you, I should have it linked up to this video, but if not, I'm posting every Monday for sure, and possibly every Friday as well. Thank you guys so much for watching.